This week on Basti's Beercan, Konrad goes on about bribery and bid rigging at one of Germany's biggest companies, before Basti explains in some detail how he would like to physically punish Armin Laschet. In between, there is some musing on the teachings of life. Prost!
Ah, ooh, ah, ee, ah, ooh, doo doo, ba 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 ba. News.
Thank you very much. Was that inspired by a 70s cop show?
It was inspired by so many things, but yes, bit of that. Just the general sort of, I mean, why do news programs have a theme tune? You know, think about it.
And
they're all different,
information.
But they do have a theme tune, and it's to kind of sort of create drama, tension, fear, excitement. But you'd never know the news is going to be about. Normally, it's about bad things. So yeah, I mean, in the UK, of course, you've got the famous one with Big Ben. They sample the bell.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the 9 o'clock news.
That conveys authority to me.
Yeah.
Whereas your one more conveyed Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. I trying to sort of jazz it up a bit, mix of genres. That's what the kids are into these days, isn't it? Mashups.
Anyway, I should introduce who you are and who I am. Welcome to Basti's Beercan. I am Konrad Werner, and doing the theme tune as our guest host, as Megan's away still, is Basti from the Crazy Bastard Kitchen. Hello, Basti.
Yo, what's up? Thank you so much for having me on. A second time in a row. Really excited. We're going to smash it. I'm feeling really good.
Okay, good. What beer have you brought for us this week?
We've got a beer from a city we know very well, Munich, the capital of Bavaria, Bayern. If you've never been to Bavaria, you must go. It's wonderful, isn't it?
It's lovely. Yeah, this sparks many childhood memory from you.
Drinking beer.
I should explain as well, because it'll probably come out sooner or later, that we are brothers, and therefore some of this show will include some familial tension, possibly going back decades. So be prepared for that. Yeah,
so it's Hacker, how do you pronounce that? Schwor?
Sure.
Hacker Schwor. Münchner Hell, from the brewery has existed since 1417, man.
Well, Hacker, I believe, is one of the 6 Oktoberfest breweries. There are only 6 breweries allowed to sell beer at the Oktoberfest, and I think all of them, obviously Munich and Bavarian beers. And I think Hacker is one of them. So
it must be.
Hacker tent, yeah.
It was on offer in Lidl for about 79 cents.
Is that expensive for Lidl?
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Okay.
Couldn't resist.
Cheers. Oh, that's lovely. I think Helles is my favourite type of beer. I prefer it to Pilsen even.
Well, it's just wonderful. I mean,
it's so
these
light.
guys have been making this since 1417. I think they know what they're doing.
I like the kind of lightness of it. It's crisp, and I enjoy it very much. Anyway, this is actually a special show this week because I have published a huge investigation this week that has lasted me a year and a half. It's taken me a year and a half. So a beer tastes doubly sweet and crisp than it normally would because I've finally got this investigation out.
Yes, you've cracked it. You've cracked the case.
I've cracked the case, yeah.
Just one more thing. You've talked to me about it. I believe it's about Siemens.
Yes, not only Siemens, but mainly Siemens. And
because maybe I should have told you this because you could have included it in your report. I live opposite a Siemens factory, and the car park, normally it's full at 6 a.m. They all arrive, and they all finish work at around 2, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. Really? The car park's been empty for about 2 months. Oh. Has that anything to do with you?
Could be.
But why is that? Where are they?
The coronavirus, maybe they had an outbreak.
Yeah, well, so that particular factory is for trains. They have a slogan: "We keep trains moving."
You live opposite a train factory.
Well, you know where I live? You don't know where I live?
I know where you live. I just didn't know that
There's
thing
a
was
massive Siemens.
I know, but I didn't know it was a train factory.
No, it's not a train factory. They're not building trains, but they build sort of signals.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Yeah. Well, I thought that's why this story would have like a personal flavour for you, because that is often, I believe you often take your dogs out to the car park there to have a poo.
Not just to have a poo, but to have a play.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It used to be floodlit. So if I finish work, sometimes I get home at maybe 12 o'clock or even later. Larry, as soon as we get into my house, Larry starts barking, wants to play time, get the rubber ring, go out there, throw the rubber ring for about 20 minutes. Brilliant. So practical. But yeah, that car park's not been in use for weeks now. Just wondered if you knew why that was.
Well, they could all be tracing my movements.
Are you in trouble? Are you in danger?
No. What has happened? So let me take you back a little bit into the history of Siemens. So not too far. Okay. But in 2008, Siemens was the subject of one of the biggest corporate scandals in history, when bribery across the whole of the world was basically uncovered by prosecutors in Munich and in the US, and authorities in the US, and they ended up having a fine of $1.6 billion over this huge kind of network of bribery. It was basically routine for Siemens officials to bribe public officials to get, contracts around the world. And bribery has only been illegal in Germany for foreign deals since about the year 2000. I think it was under Schröder's government. It used to be just considered a business expense. You just have to pay a little bit extra money. So anyway, there was this culture of bribery that was going on, and in 2008 they were busted. They had to pay a big fine, and they also had to produce what were called monitoring reports. Now, this is when the SEC or the DOJ, they say you have to have a monitor checking on what you're doing for the next 4 years, and that monitor has to file reports with us saying, like, what are you doing to improve the culture? What are you doing to improve procedures to ensure that corruption does not happen in your company?
Okay.
But Siemens was allowed to choose their own monitor, and they chose a man called Theo Weigel, who lives in Munich, who used to be the finance minister of Germany under...
Nice choice.
Yeah, under Helmut Kohl in the 90s. He was the finance minister for the reunification of Germany, so that was obviously a big job. Yeah, and so Theo Weigel was chosen as the monitor, and he produced these 4 monitoring reports, which were supposed to, check on what Siemens was doing and have improvements. Now, one of the conditions of when you have monitoring reports is that they remain secret, so that even though they get filed to the American Department of Justice and the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, they are not allowed to be published or not allowed to, be details, because they are supposed to contain business secrets. That's the argument, right? So this journalist collective that I've been working with, called 100 Reporters, they sued the DOJ to get access to these monitoring reports, arguing that there's, the public has a right to know how a company like Siemens is dealing with corruption, and especially shareholders also allowed to know because they invest in this company, so they should and be entitled to know what is happening, right? And after a long legal battle about a year or two ago, they won. So this 100 Reporters, which I'm now a part of, they got access to these monitoring reports, but they were heavily redacted. But yet, despite their heavy redactions, through other former employees of Siemens that I was able to get in contact with, I could learn a little bit more about how Siemens tried to change its culture following the 2008 scandal. And what happened was they basically set up one of the most comprehensive compliance systems in the world, but then kind of more or less ignored the procedures. They employed a lot of compliance officers, but the compliance officers weren't really expected to find any wrongdoing. And if so, I wrote about that's what I've been writing about. But that's only part of it. And then this is still happening over the world. So at the moment, right now, the SEC is doing a new investigation into bribery in Brazil and in China and in possibly other countries, not only involving Siemens, but also involving GE, the American company, and Philips, which is a Dutch. I bought a Hoover the other day. And what those three companies have in common is they are basically the world leaders in medical imaging equipment, so MRIs and CT scanners.
Okay. These
massive machines, they're like the most expensive things that a hospital will have in the building, probably. They cost like $2 million each. And you can use them for basically anything. You can use them to diagnose anything. They give amazing, like it's like really mad technology now. They can give like really detailed images of what's going on inside a human body, you know.
Yeah.
They use them for like almost any illness. They can use them, including the coronavirus.
Okay.
So this is where it gets interesting. So the
now it gets interesting.
Yeah. So now with the coronavirus started in early 2020, I with the help of these a couple of sources and people in America who I can't name, but they basically taught me how to look at bidding records in China, so that because all the hospitals in China are state owned and run,
okay.
So they come under special rules. So when they buy something, they have to put things out to tender, and they have to get 3 companies to bid on every particular contract. So when they want to buy an MRI machine, they have to get 3 companies to bid, and often these 3 companies are GE, Siemens and Philips, because they're the only 3 companies. Well, there are other companies. Canon does them too, but basically these 3 things.
It's an oligopoly.
Yeah.
just wanted to show that I know that word.
And so I was able to show, because then what I found in the bidding documents and what other people also showed me was that, for example, Chinese hospitals were paying $5 million for an MRI scanner, whereas in America they were like $2 million or $2.5 million. And you could see this in lots and lots of. I could go through all the prices, and it was driving me mad for quite a long time, like checking all these prices and then trying to figure out how much that machine would possibly cost in America or in Europe, and I had to phone all the other companies. So yeah. So
this is what you've been working on. Let's fill the listeners in. You got a wad of cash to research this. Were you bribed?
No.
What was it called? A scholarship? No, it's not a scholarship.
It was a fellowship.
A fellowship. Oh, you must have loved that.
Yeah,
you love J.R.R. Tolkien. So you got a fellowship.
Yeah, I'm in a fellowship now. I'm a fellow. You're talking to a fellow.
And a fine fellow you are. So you went off with a load of hobbits.
Yeah.
And looked for
evidence of bribery in the China's bidding records, and boy did I find it.
So this is great news. We should be drinking champagne, man.
Well, yeah, it got published. It got published on this website called the 100 Reporters website, which is the group that I was working with, and the AP News Network, which is an agency.
Put it on a P.
They put it on a P. So it was quite exciting. And
this is a landmark moment for you in your career.
I mean, it's good to have. Yeah, it's like the first time I've ever done anything like this, so it's quite exciting for me.
And is your name on it and that?
Yeah, in fact, only my name is on it, which is slightly embarrassing because quite a lot of other people, like there were editors at 100 Reporters that helped me, and the editor at the
Maybe you want to give them a
McGraw.
shout out right now?
Shout out, Diana. She's called Diana.
All right.
They were like my editors, yeah, and Jane at the McGraw Centre, who provided the fellowship, and yeah, also like the sources that I can't, like I had a helper, someone who helped me in China, and I couldn't put their name on the article either because being a journalist in China is quite a like a difficult thing to be, and you can get into trouble if you have your name on the wrong kind of article.
Yeah, of course.
So
Put you in prison.
Well, I don't know about that.
Make you peel garlic with your fingers. That's what they do.
Is it?
Well, a lot of restaurants, my own included, we don't buy garlic like you normal plebs do, where it's like a garlic bulb, and then you have to peel each clove. You buy it in a bag. All the garlic cloves are already peeled. Now, the two biggest countries that supply these pre-peeled garlic cloves are China and Spain. Spanish ones are rubbish because they're messy. Sometimes they miss the little hard bit at the end of the clove. The Chinese ones are immaculate.
Well, they're just smooth.
They're just, but the rumours are, I mean, I think it's true, is that Chinese prisoners are forced to peel these garlic, and they're obviously not allowed to use a knife because they're in prison, so they do it with their fingers.
Be a hell of a job peeling garlic. Well, they're starting to do this in America too. They're starting to get prisoners to do work. It's actually kind of slavery.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, we're not going to. I mean, could get into that topic. I mean, yeah, slavery has not been abolished in the US, has it? There's shitloads of African Americans in prison being forced to work.
Yeah, so that's what I've basically been doing for a year and a half, and I just wanted to point it out because it's something to talk about, isn't it?
I think it's great. And what's going to happen now?
Well, the
slap on the wrist for Siemens, or another big hefty 1.5 billion fine?
What is happening is that these investigations, so the SEC does these investigations, and they take years and years and years because they have to gather all this evidence, and then they have to go through all the evidence and check if it's true, and they have to travel to all the different countries that are mentioned in this evidence. So it takes years and years. And then what normally happens, and that investigation is going on. It's been going on in Brazil for a while. It's going to go on in China and other countries. We know this because Philips have to do a filing. They have to, if you're a company registered in America, you have to provide the SEC with information. You have to do these filings every year, saying what's going on with your company. It's also for the benefit of your shareholders. So in the latest Philips filing to the SEC, we found out that they were helping the SEC and the DOJ with its inquiry,
right,
and into tender irregularities in the medical device industry in certain other jurisdictions, including China. So that's what's going to happen. It's probably going to take another 3 or 4 years before but what will probably happen, because companies never get convicted, the white-collar crime, no one ever goes to jail for white-collar crime. What happens is that they do a settlement and pay a fine, and in the settlement they don't necessarily have to plead guilty. They just have to, they might, there's like a negotiations. They're saying, if you pay us $2 billion, you can just plead guilty to like not doing your accounts properly, rather than pleading guilty to encouraging bribery.
Is it an out of court settlement, or is it sort of like Michael Jackson paying off that kid?
It's an out of court no, it's not like Michael Jackson paying off the kid. I mean, it's like Michael Jackson paying the police to not take it any further, is what would it be,
right?
And it ensures that no one goes to prison. Also, these companies are so big, like after the financial crisis, and also there was a big Enron a few years before, the Enron scandal. Like, certain people did go to prison in those cases. The Enron was like this huge, and certain people did go to prison. The government, the American government, kind of said, no, we're probably not going to do that again because it's quite a lot of work and it has quite a big effect on the economy. So it's probably better just to get them to sign a thing saying they won't do it again and get a fine, and no one has to go to prison. And that's also pretty much what happened after the financial crisis, which really destroyed the world economy. You might remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I was actually working in finance at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember as it was happening, I was in the office, and my fellow colleagues were just couldn't but looking at the live stock market ticker and seeing the share prices drop, and they just couldn't believe it. It was insane, man. Crazy days.
Do you look back on those days fondly?
Yeah, I mean, don't regret any of the jobs that I've done. And so I think sometimes in the moment you might not enjoy something, but I always appreciated everything, and I appreciate the people that gave me those jobs. Because you learn stuff. I think in life you always learn things, and you're not aware, maybe not aware that you're learning something at the time, and it might not be so clear what exactly it is that you're learning, but you're learning. And it's not always so specific. It's not like, you've also been an English teacher, I believe, in Poland, am I correct?
I have, yeah.
So yes, of course you improve your own English, and you improve your ability to teach English, but you also improve certain other skills, communication skills, interactive face-to-face skills, nunchuck skills.
Did you have nunchuck skills? What you're basically saying is, as I believe the Beatles once said, there's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be.
Yes, exactly. You've probably, learnt a lot from this recent experience, which maybe involved a type of journalism, a type of investigative journalism that you have not done before. And at times it might not have been fun.
It wasn't fun.
Exactly, but you've done it now. You're going to come out, you're going to hang out the back of it and have gained some experience. Like it's a life-changing thing. It's going to enrich you as a human being. And I think that's fantastic, Ben.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah. No, it was actually really, it was really boring. Because a lot of it was just looking through loads and loads of websites and then having to go onto Google Translate and translating them from Chinese into English and then figuring out what all the numbers meant.
Of course. But now you know you can do this. You've done it.
No, I wouldn't say boring is not the word I would use. It was
tedious, monotonous,
strenuous. It was mentally strenuous.
Yeah,
like keeping your mind on it with all these different websites and stuff. Yeah, there has been other news in Germany this week.
Yes.
Do you want to hear about that? Well, obviously there was horrible tragedies earlier last weekend in Western Germany. There was a lot of flooding. Did you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's horrible.
It was the first time these flooding, because these floods do happen fairly often, but this was a particularly heavy flood, and this was the first time that they were linked to climate change so explicitly in the media.
Yeah, okay, obviously it's horrible what happened, but it's good that the news is now connecting it with climate change. If you think of the increase in forest fires in North America, and if you remember Donald Trump being asked by a scientist about climate change, and he just went, do you remember he went, it'll get cooler, just you see, just you wait. And, do you remember that? No. Do you remember how he said it?
He was like, hey.
I can't do his voice, but it's gonna get cooler, just you wait, you'll see. And it was horrible because, but wasn't there a thing where the Chancellor candidate was caught laughing?
Yes, this is what I was going to get to. Armin Laschet, the head of the CDU, who wants to take over for Merkel in the Chancellery come September, he was standing behind the president, Steinmeier, who was giving a speech, a serious speech, but he failed to notice that the cameras could see him, and he was having a right old laugh with a few of his aides. And it was a really, really big story for quite a long time, and it was extremely embarrassing for him, and he did a lot of apologies, but I think he really did alienate a lot of his voters, because CDU voters, they do not like levity.
Yeah.
Like that, they see that they want a professional politician who will speak seriously, and they do not want people gadding around. Actually, I went to visit our auntie this week.
Yeah.
In Wilmersdorf. Now, she's not actually a CDU voter, but she's pretty close. She's actually more of a kind of a conservative SPD voter, if I had to put her anywhere. But anyway, she was extremely angry about Armin Laschet. I hadn't really registered. For me, it was just another embarrassing politician story. But it really, for one thing, is I get most of my news from Twitter these days, so I don't really know what the CDU demographic watches, and what they normally watch is the evening news, and it was featured on the evening news, and that made her really, really angry. And like the whole spectacle of him, and also it was then contrasted a lot in the media with Merkel went the next day, and she's obviously visited quite a lot of flooded areas in her chancellery, because it happens every other year almost. It usually happens in eastern Germany, but this was a different kind of flooding. This is a flooding that came from this low pressure area, which just did not move for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the jet stream is weakening. So because the jet stream is weakening, and these low pressure areas are supposed to move more quickly when the wind is going through. The jet stream moves through. So it's probably going to happen again. It almost certainly will happen again, like in the next few years. So anyway, yeah.
Is Merkel stepping down then?
Yeah, this is the last few months of Merkel's.
Has she said she's had enough?
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Why did you like her?
Yeah, I think
it's hard not to like her. The problem is that she was always like, she was the environment minister under Helmut Kohl, and she used to talk about climate change back in the 90s, and you'd think then when she becomes chancellor, she would have been able to, push the issue more than she did, and change, like, because she's head of a party which is basically very closely linked with all the big German companies. This is something that she would be able to do. But now, and in fact, she did a big press conference this week where she said, "I wish I'd done more about climate change." Bit late now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, she did some stuff though, didn't she? I mean, just like, I think Germany is one of the biggest investors in solar power, and does invest a lot in renewable energies. I
suppose so. I mean, that's what they always say.
Although it's also been criticised that they...
Well, they still subsidise all the coal industry, and especially in a lot of Germany, they have the brown coal. This it's called lignite. This sort of it's not like the black coal that you get from deep
coal. It's
sort of more shallow coal, and it is much worse than coal for the environment. And there's still loads of functioning lignite quarries and mines going on, and they are not only producing this an awful lot of CO2, they also devastate the landscape much more than wind turbines do, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But so we do still that, and especially there's a lot of them in North Rhine-Westphalia, which is the state where Armin Laschet is still the state premier. And he has a reputation for protecting the lignite and coal industries in his state. He was this is a state where they cut down one of the most ancient forests in Germany recently.
Oh God! And is he going to win? Yeah, the CDU definitely going to win.
Probably, yeah.
Any chance that Gregor Gysi could win?
He's not. I mean, he'll probably win his little election, the one you're in.
Oh yeah. He's definitely going to win that.
You'd think so.
No, he's never... you need to understand.
The people of
Treptow is an attitude. Yeah, right. It's a vibe.
And one of the vibes is...
Gregor Gysi embodies the Treptow attitude.
Right.
Treptow-Köpenick, it's going nowhere.
But unfortunately, he's no longer the leader of the Linke Party.
It doesn't matter. He's like...
well, that means that he can't become chancellor.
It doesn't matter. He'll lead from behind. He'll lead. He's like the puppet master.
Right. I mean, he's still very popular, so you never know.
I'm trying to think of an example in popular culture. Perhaps Sir Bobby Robson, when he was at Barcelona and Louis van Gaal became manager, and he was sort of in the background, a bit like that.
Yeah, I suppose that could well happen. We'll never know. At the moment, it does look like Armin Laschet will become the next Chancellor of Germany.
Oh, shit, isn't it?
And yeah,
I'd love to just slap him in the face really hard.
Why do you hate him that much? Or?
No, I just slap him in the face. Don't
just
you laugh at people. Just a real good slap.
Yeah.
Like in a public square.
With a cabbage. Slap him with a cabbage.
Just an open palm slap.
Oh. Okay. You won't get away with it. You won't even get close. He's surrounded by,
No, if it was like allowed, if it was like a public slapping, that was his punishment for laughing during that speech.
I mean,
and they
the thing
chose
is,
one random citizen of Germany, yeah, and I was just the lucky one. and then we're in this square, and it's just a public slapping, perhaps minimal press, but people can attend.
Would it be allowed to be filmed?
Yeah, but sort of in a tasteful way,
Yeah, how would you film it?
So it would just be, it'd be very sort of, it wouldn't be given over to like RTL or Sat.1. It'd be like ARD, and there wouldn't be like sort of a build up to it. It would just be like on Tagesschau, say, okay, and now we're going to Alexanderplatz to witness the public slapping of Armin Laschet. Is that his name?
Yeah, for laughing.
And for laughing during that speech, the person chosen to slap him was chosen randomly through a sort of system, a random system of Germany was chosen. The person chosen to slap him was Sebastian Knight. We're now going over live to Alexanderplatz to witness the slapping, and then it's just, and then there's maybe a policeman said, Herr Knight, bitte treten Sie auf der Bühne und Herr Laschet, bitte bewegen Sie sich nicht. Herr Knight, Sie dürfen eine Watsche aufs Gesicht platzieren mit vollem Kraft.
And then there would be
Herr
no
Knight,
TV
fangen Sie jetzt an. Loslegen. No, they wouldn't say that. How would they say it? Sie dürfen jetzt anfangen.
Okay. I think in a funny way, Laschet would probably prefer that because then it would be over, and people and his voters would perceive him as someone who had, been through he'd got his punishment, and then they would be more ready to forgive him. Now it's just gonna kind of be this painful thing that's going to pursue him.
Yeah, and just to explain my technique, what I would do is I would sort of spread my legs a little bit, sort of like a power stance.
Okay.
Bend the knees, and I'd bring my right hand right the way back so that it's pointing in the opposite direction of Laschet's face. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So a whole 180 degree
yes,
arc.
It's a 180 degree arc, and then as I bring it forward, I'm moving the shoulders, I'm moving my hips fully, the knees are moving. It's a perfect arch. Think of a golf swing, and so I got full force, and the target is not his face. It's 90 degrees after his face. Okay, so my target is 90 degrees after his face. That's what I picture the target to be. So as I strike his face, I'm not thinking of that as the end zone.
You're thinking of the follow through.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like his face is in the way of my actual target. Right. That's how I think of it, and that's how I get full force. I'm also gonna just gonna go for the lower jaw area, because a strong hit to the lower jaw area could actually cause him to go unconscious. That's what I want. I'm not looking for some kind of black eye or a red cheek. That might look good. People might say, "Oh yeah, look at that. He's got a black eye." I'm looking to do actual damage.
Okay.
And whilst hitting him on the lower jaw might not show, bruising or such things, it will take him down.
Downtown. I suppose it being on ARD, there would be medics on hand.
Oh yeah, of course. My God.
And would he have a crash mat or something? in case he did
Yeah,
fall
yeah,
over?
it would all be like, it'd all be totally
safe,
you know. And as soon as like I strike him, I imagine there'll be some kind of like sort of MMA sort of referee who would then hold me back just to make sure I don't follow through and start, you know.
And you probably wear rubber plastic gloves, you know, because you don't want to, in case of infection.
Well, we probably both have to wear FFP2 masks. And I probably have to have a disinfected hand, and he has to disinfect his face
and take his glasses off.
Oh yeah. It would just be great.
Unfortunately, those types of punishments. Okay. Well, on that note, thank you for coming on the show.
This was a different one, wasn't it?
It was a bit different, yeah. What's going on at the restaurant this week?
So right now I've got two fantastic chefs in the kitchen taking care of business while I'm here. We're doing Mexican tacos.
Ooh.
Absolutely top quality tacos. The tortillas we use are from a company called Tlaxcali, which I think is the Aztec word for tortilla. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, they grow corn, bio corn, in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, and then they pound the corn, they grind the corn into flour, and they make these incredible tortillas. And and then you can come and enjoy the tortillas. We got all the hot sauce, Crazy Basti sauce, best hot sauce in the world, on the table. Enjoy it. Come down, kids. Next week, salt beef bagels, fish and chips. Yeah, proper grab. UK style. Come down for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.